Hey, I'm Jeff and welcome back to another video. This is part 2 of my houseplant tour. I have over 200 houseplants in my small little house. If you haven't seen part 1, click the link in the top corner here, go check that out. Those are all my basement houseplants that are all under grow lights. Upstairs here, obviously they all get natural sunlight, but I do have a couple grow lights as well. So I'm gonna run through all my houseplants upstairs here. If you are unfamiliar with my setup, this is obviously my little living room area, and this is a south-facing window, so it gets a lot of light throughout the day. Here's a back door as well. So I'm gonna start off with this area. This is my Ficus elastica melony. A little while ago, I did pot up some syngoniums. This is just like the cheap $5 ones from any grocery store, and I just potted it up just as a little bit of a filler, just so it's not so bare in the bottom, I guess. So it fills in nicely. I think it's a nice touch to that. So here is one of my more popular houseplants that I haven't shown for quite some time. This is my Ficus elastica taniki. It's in a beautiful pot, and this thing, I'm gonna see if I can back up a little bit here. This thing is getting massive. It has unfortunately lost a bunch of leaves on the lower stem here, and I may have to repot it soon. It's getting dry really quick, and it looks like there's, what, maybe 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 stems in this pot, but this is definitely one of my favorites, which I've had for a couple of years now. And yeah, they're a very popular variety. So this one, obviously you can see, gets a little bit of direct sunlight throughout the afternoon. I've never had any leaf burn or scorch or anything like that. I do have this beautiful Dieffenbachia. I believe this is the Saguin, and I just left it as is because I want you to see what my house is like, with the exception of I vacuumed the floors today. But this is what happens typically when you have 3 small dogs, 2 kids, and people coming and going throughout your house. Eventually you do have some casualties. This one, unfortunately, just a nice beautiful leaf. Someone ran into it and knocked it off. So just kind of leaving it as is right now. I even thought about putting like a little piece of Velcro or something like that and just tying it up. The leaf looks healthy still. It's not yellowing or anything like that. So it still might be receiving nutrients. So I'm gonna stake that up here in a minute. I have another Ficus elastica. This is the burgundy. Look at this tiny, puny little leaf. Not really a huge fan of the burgundy, to be honest, and I'll probably be giving this one away in the spring. Yeah, it's just, there is a few plants that I have to kind of purge on, and I think this might be one of them. Here is a single stem Ficus elastica taniki. Again, this one you can see is getting some direct sunlight with no leaf burn or anything like that. These have all been acclimated to this window. Here is a sad looking desert rose. I was actually going to just give this one away, but I thought I'd give it another chance here. It's starting to get some new leaves. The blooms or the flowers on this is absolutely gorgeous. They get quite large. This one is a yellow flower, and they're beautiful. Here is a Sansevieria moonlight or moonshine, and it looks like, I was gonna say, I thought this one was getting a new little side shoot, but it's not. The variegation on this one is quite beautiful. I just gave it some water here today as well. Here is a Dieffenbachia Tropic Marianne. I love the new leaves. They come out with almost lime green, kind of yellow, and then they have the outer ridges, kind of that dark, almost like a forest green. It's a beautiful Dieffenbachia. Okay, so now for this table here. Obviously this is my south-facing window. This is an eastern wall, so it does get a lot of kind of that mid-afternoon to late afternoon sunlight. So these are perfect for my jade plants. You can see they're getting a lot of bright light. So jade plants, they need about 6 hours or more of bright sunlight. This is a perfect area. So I have a couple of my jades. This one is my daughter's cutting, which she took about 5 years ago. Here is my son's. It's in a beautiful porcelain pot there. And then here is a Gollum jade that I took from a very small cutting. I actually got it from one of our plant conservatories. I was asking a lady if they ever sell any cuttings, and she said no, but she ran over to the plant and actually just snipped one off for me. So this one has been growing like crazy. It's got a few yellow leaves, but oops. Okay, we're getting tangled up here. So this one's pretty cool. I love the Gollum jade, and the overall structure of it is just absolutely beautiful. Here is a Hoya melliflua. I'm not really a huge fan of this one. This might be another one that I eventually just give away or sell. Here is the Hoya fungi. This is a super cool Hoya, and again, just like the melliflua, this one is really slow growing, but it's finally getting some new leaves. They got some beautiful veins. This is a perfect leaf right here. This is a beautiful plant. This one's got a little bit of damage, and I know you can get some deformed leaves from lower humidity and even inconsistent watering, but I've heard a lot of people talk about flat mites lately. So I haven't got a magnifying glass or checked out any mine, but basically what I do with all my Hoyas, very similar to my Dieffenbachias and my ficus plants, I will take them to the bathroom and I will spray them off as best as I can, making sure that I get the front of the leaf and the back side as well, just making sure if it can blast off spider mites, I'm sure it can blast off flat mites as well. Here's my Rhaphidophora decursiva. This one is on a little decorative trellis type thing. This one's previously been propagated, and you can see it's gotten a new side shoot, which is now growing upright. So the leaves on this one are pretty dusty. Back here is my Rhaphidophora tetrasperma. This one I'm just letting kind of grow up the wall here. This one's been propagated a few times. Back here I have a Hawaiian golden pothos on the burlap pole as well. Beautiful leaves on this one. This sad, dumpy looking thing is the Ficus shiveriana. It's not doing the greatest for me right now. It did lose a couple leaves. There's a little crispy one right there. And it looks like maybe a little bit of leaf burn there as well. So I know this one will need a lot of sunlight just because there's not much green, there's not much chlorophyll for this plant to photosynthesize. So that's why I placed it pretty close to the window, but you can see there's a little bit of burning right there. So I'm just going to kind of leave this one maybe right there, just to see how it does. This big plump guy here is a pincushion cactus. This is actually my son's plant. A few years ago, he finished one of his first chapter books, and I said he could buy anything that he wants, and he actually went out and picked a cactus. So I just potted it up in this, I don't know, looks like a bowl. And then these little succulents in here are the Echeveria purpurorum. These are propagated ones from single leaves from this plant right here. I've taken, this is a top cutting. It's been cut back a number of times, but this one is gorgeous. So you just pluck off a leaf like this, just twist it off, and then you literally stick it in a container of soil like that, and eventually it will grow roots, and it'll grow into a cute little rosette type succulent like this. This is my Euphorbia White Ghost. It's been a while since I've updated this one. I'm just bringing it out of the sunlight just so you can see it. It's gotten a few new growth points. Oh, I think this is all new right here too. I love how it kind of branches out with these arms. This one is super cool. I got this as an unrooted cutting from a plant friend. I basically just stuck it in this container of soil, and you can see this is the original, like that line right there is the original size of a cutting, and this is what it's grown for me in probably the last, I think I've had this maybe for 2 or 3 years now, and it's beautiful. This is another one that you have to watch out for spider mites. I notice every once in a while you will get little spider webs in between the little thorns or spikes there. So I spray this one off quite frequently as well. Put that, this one's right on the ledge of my south-facing window. Here is a propagated cutting of one of my jade plants. I'll be giving this to a friend. Here is another Hoya. Not really a huge fan of it. It's not looking the greatest either. I'm pretty sure this one had a couple aphids on it a few months ago. So I sprayed it off a number of times. You know what, just looking at it, I kind of like it. These little leaves with the purple margins, they're pretty cool. I don't even know what this other one is in here. This is just kind of a random pot of Hoya that I'm just not really paying attention to. Down on the floor here, getting some direct sunlight, is my Sansevieria Whitney. This one has beautiful variegation, and it always gets new growth. Looks like the main plant and 3 side shoots. So this one's been propagated probably maybe 2 or 3 times making new plants. I did some plant trades as well. So it just goes to show you that these can tolerate some direct sunlight, and they actually prefer more light than probably what you're giving them. I'm just gonna quickly pan up because my windows are absolutely disgusting and dirty. I just have a couple of Hoyas here. This is the Rebecca. This thing is just full. It's bursting out of the pot. Here is a Crimson Princess. This one's a large basket. This actually was started as 3 small cuttings a few years ago. And then here is my Hoya Sunrise. See if I can get a good shot of the leaf here. These are beautiful Hoyas. So, okay, now moving on to, this is one of my prize plants. If my house was on fire, this is the plant that I would run and grab. This is my propagated cutting from the mother plant, which I have downstairs. This is 5 years old as well. So this is my plant. This one is my son's, and this one's my daughter's. I took some cuttings off of the mother plant, and we all potted our own up. So this one's mine, and I just absolutely love this one. This is, yeah, it's one of my favorites. It is getting a few little like bumps on the leaves, and I'm not really too sure what is happening. It's on the other ones as well. I'm hoping this is not a pest issue. I've heard that some bugs, like thrips, will actually lay eggs in the leaves. I don't know if they actually are attracted to succulents. I'm hoping not. But yeah, if you know what those little bumps are on jade plants or succulent leaves, please let me know. Here's one of my favorite Hoyas. This is the Australis Lisa. This one blooms all the time. It's not in flower right now, but this is probably the most potent and sweet smelling Hoya there is. It doesn't smell during the day, but in the evening and throughout the night, this thing is just super strong, and it's very, very sweet. So it's quite a pleasant smell. Now I'm gonna move over to my plant shelf here. This is a golden pothos in a, you can't even see it, so bright out today. This is my pothos in a Wally grow. Up here on my plant shelf, this is the Hoya parasitica heartleaf. Here's a crimson queen right beside it. And then this is my pot of mixed pothos. It's looking a little rough just because here's, this is an Enjoy, I believe. It's looking a little rough because I know it's going to be root bound. It gets really thirsty. It's starting to lose a few leaves. What else do I have in this one? I can't remember. Marble Queen. I think that's an Enjoy. I'm not too sure. Here's just a standalone Enjoy pothos. You can see the leaves. They're beautiful. They got beautiful variegation on them. The vining ones here are getting a bit smaller, so I've been growing a lot of mine on like planks and poles. So that's what happens if you let them vine down. They typically get smaller leaves. This is a propagated pot of Cebu or Cebu Blue. It's looking nice and full. It's kind of starting to cascade down as well. Back here is a Monstera Siltepecana. This was a couple cuttings that were given to me. This one's looking really good right now. Just got it on a small little trellis just at the back there. And then here is my string of pearls. I absolutely love this plant. I just don't want to pull it off. Okay, so yeah, it's quite long. And everything looks really good on this one. At the back here is a Hoya, what is this, Walliana? I forget the name of this one. This is the silver something or another. Yeah, just a couple. What is this one here? Can't remember the name, but it's getting a new leaf. I think this is like the Hanahe or something like that. Back behind the pearls here is a neon pothos with a philodendron Brazil. It's a mixed pot. And then this is the Hoya. Let's see if I can get it out. I almost lost this one due to root rot. This is the Erythrostemma. This one's very similar to the Callistophila. I don't even know if I showed that one over here. This one. This one flowers for me all the time, and this is probably my favorite Hoya. Along with the Potsii, which you'll see here shortly, this one is absolutely gorgeous. I just watered this one as well, and it's getting a yellow leaf in the older ones here. Beautiful. down on this shelf here, I have a few of my alocasias. This is the dragon scale. Here's my Frydek. This thing is looking not good. All the leaves fell off, but it's getting a new growth point. Here is the sinuata. This one is a beautiful leaf. I took a little side shoot off of this one recently, and I have it downstairs. Here is my silver dragon, which I still have in perlite. This is the mother plant. It's been propagated a few times now. I've taken a number of corms out of it, and it's still just in perlite. And down here I have a little bird's nest sansevieria, and then I have a little aglaonema down there. So this is the plant shelf. Haven't really done an update since I actually set this up, so this is how it's looking. I might do a little bit of arranging here in the springtime as I want. I think this shelf to be more of the rare philodendrons and other plants like that. So this one might be making a little bit of a transition here in the near future. I have a bunch of Hoyas up here on my little plant window. This is the Crinkle 8. This one, I can't remember the name right now. It's slipped my mind. I can't remember this one, what the name is, but oh geez, it'll come back to me. This one is the Fitchii. This one grows like crazy. It's getting a little bit of sun stressing there now. Here is my purple Hawaiian pubicalyx. This is kind of a cool one. It's got some lighter green leaves with some speckling on it. The flowers on this one are absolutely gorgeous. Here is an out of control Australis lisa. This one, I actually really like this. And then here is a weird one. It is the, what is this? Elagorium. This one is just crazy. So it's a pretty cool Hoya. It gets these long, kind of narrow leaves. A little bit of sun stress on the back there as well. So that's all my little Hoyas in my western window. So they get a lot of light. I typically wouldn't recommend Hoyas getting a western window like this. It's pretty harsh sun. Across from my window over here is a lower light area, which I added my Soltec Aspect Grow Light to all of my aglaonemas. So I have a bunch down here. This is the BJ Freeman. I believe this one is the Aglaonema Juliet. This one has really cool, almost like a tricolor. It's got some pretty nice leaves on this one. Here's just a regular Silver Bay. This one back here is a Silverado. This one is the Green Papaya. Look at these new leaves. Beautiful. And then this is the Golden Madonna, I believe it's called. So I really like this little kind of tropical area right here. Just, it's a nice filler. This is a propagated neon pothos. Here's a Scindapsus exotica. It doesn't get a ton of light over here. Like it's probably about maybe like 14 feet back from the south-facing window. So it doesn't get a ton of light back here. It's actually pretty low light. And then here is my larger jade satin Scindapsus. This is one of my favorite Scindapsus plants. This one it's a pretty vigorous grower right now, but for about the first year, maybe year and a half, it did like literally nothing. And then all of a sudden it just kind of explodes with new growth, just in kind of short little bursts. So it's getting some new growth there as well. This one, don't pay attention to this one. It's actually a pretty sad looking plant right now, but this is the Aglaonema Emerald Beauty, very similar to the Juliet. It just has two colors instead of a tricolor like the other one there, but this one was getting quite long and leggy, and I just basically hacked it up in hopes that it would get some new growth, and you can see it's getting a couple of growth points there. And then here's just another golden pothos, probably one of the easiest plants to care for, grows really fast. And then here is my Aglaonema cutlass, which I did the same thing to this one. I basically just snipped the tops off. It was getting quite long and leggy, and it's now getting into a nice kind of bushy plant again. So pretty happy with how that one turned out. And then just on my kitchen island here, I'm not going to show the rest of this mess, all my dishes and stuff. This is the top cutting or the propagations from that Emerald Beauty. I placed them in water, I water propagated them, and I placed them in a container of soil. So now I have an entirely new pot of these beautiful Aglaonemas. Here is a propagated Jade Satin Scindapsus as well. Beautiful leaves. This one I just have right here. It's also had a little bit of water. This crazy out of control plant is the Philodendron Golden Goddess. It comes down all the way to halfway down to the floor. It took a spill last week. It was actually knocked off. So the plant itself is looking a little squished in there. It's looking a little bit rough. And I'm gonna try and propagate this again. This is one plant that I cannot get to root in perlite. It will not root in water. It basically just rots. So I think I'm going to try and maybe air layer this one with sphagnum moss. And I might actually just take a cutting off this one as well and try and see if it'll root in just sphagnum moss, because it did not root in perlite or water, but I want to try and grow this one up a pole or a plank as well, so that these leaves can size up. So not looking the greatest right now. It's looking a little bit rough, but overall, I'm not willing to give up on this one yet. Ooh, look at this. It's got a single streak of variegation. That is really cool. There was one spot on this where it had some, yeah, right here. It had a little bit of variegation on this one. So yeah, I might do a video on this down the road, seeing if I can get this to propagate. This is the dining room area, and these windows are an eastern exposure, so it gets a lot of morning bright light. It's kind of dark here right now, but I'll try and do my best to show you. This is a Hoya memoria. This is actually a Walmart plant, surprisingly. These leaves are beautiful, but I did buy 2 plants. I think they were like $10 each, or they were really, really cheap. And I potted them up together in this same pot, and it's beautiful. Here, I'll see if I can take this off. It's a nice full pot. They have this little bit of variegation on them, and they are beautiful. I can't remember the name of this orchid, but it is a rare one. It gets an absolutely beautiful red flower. I have not seen it yet. I actually bought it from the store like this, just simply for the pattern on the leaves. I'll have to find the name of this plant and leave it on the screen here, but this is a beautiful leafed orchid, but I can't wait until it gets that bright red flower at some point. Here's what's left of my larger string of turtles. This one, it's just, I kind of neglect it actually, and it's not looking the greatest right now, but it's still just a cute little pot of turtles. And then here's just another grocery store orchid, which is, it's getting another flower, or it's going to be flowering here again. Yeah, a new leaf there as well. This one's dying off. So I'll put this one back. It really likes this spot. So this is the, I think the 3rd time that it's flowered for me. This is a Peperomia Hope. These are propagations from the mother plant, which I had quite a long time ago. They were, I think these were all single leaves. I did a little experiment. So this is what a single leaf peperomia can grow into. There was like multiple leaves in this pot. I'll have to see if I can find that video. But this is what the plant is looking like today. A nice full, it's a smaller pot, but it's a nice full pot of Peperomia Hope. And then here is another Peperomia. This one might be getting tossed here soon. This is the Rana Verde. This is a fairly busy corner. I have a lot of plants, and this is by far my favorite. This is the fern leaf cactus, and this thing is just a monster. It is starting to, yeah, kind of cascade down. So it just throws out a new leaf, and then it just droops over. I absolutely love this plant. It is probably one of my favorites upstairs here, and it's just getting a little bit of morning light. Just, there's a house beside, but it gets a little bit of morning light kind of peeking through, and it just loves this area. I have supplemented it a little bit with these gooseneck grow lights. I absolutely hate this, but for this area it works well. So I just kind of position it upwards. These 2 pothos, this is the Marble Queen. My larger Marble Queen that I have on a plank, this is the plant that it came from, so it has a bunch of different variegations. So one might even call this a Snow Queen, and then there's some areas with darker green variegations, some with very light white variegation. So quite a diverse plant, but it just kind of likes this spot. It's in a, it's like a porcelain pot, doesn't have a drain hole. This one, yeah, I forget to water it. It gets droopy. I give it some water and it bounces back. Here's just, I think this is a jade pothos, just a regular green one. I have a Wally Grow basket of the Scindapsus exotica here as well. This one I've cut back a number of times. So whenever these stems get really kind of stringy like this, when they have not many leaves, I like to cut it off, and then it just starts to branch out. So it'll start to kind of thicken up. But these leaves are beautiful. Here is a Hoya carnosa. This is the regular green version. It does have some speckling on this as well. This one right here is the Hoya alderichii. I did make a plant trade a couple of years ago for this one. It's on a coat hanger DIY trellis, loop trellis type thing. And this is the Hoya pottsii. This is my favorite Hoya for the leaf shape. And then it does get this beautiful sun stressing. I do have a video of me placing this one on the loop trellis if you want to go check that out. And then here is a Hoya australis lisa. Again, this one is on its own little trellis. These are just gorgeous leaves. So it gets some morning sunlight. Here is my, sorry, it's kind of crammed in here, but here is my large ZZ plant. This one is getting, I think, looks like 4 new shoots. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4 new shoots coming out from this one. See if I can get a little bit of a zoomed out. So it's just on the floor, just beside the window. It's quite a large plant. I'm hoping it gets much larger with time. And then here is my fiddle leaf fig. So I'm not too sure what I'm gonna do with this one in the spring. I actually might just like cut it back completely and see how it grows, where it branches from. Just a little bit of an experiment plant, but I just can't get enough of this fern leaf cactus up there. Welcome to my bathroom. I have a Hoya. This is the Morellii, not looking the greatest. And then I have just another orchid right here. This one is getting a gorgeous new flower. So that's all I have in the bathroom here. This is a frosted west-facing window. And now we're in my bedroom. This is my side of the bed. This is my window. And of course I have some plants here. Here is the global green pothos. I do have a mother plant spectrum grow light just on the underside there. So I took my blinds off and then I wired up this grow light. Here is the Mame Silver. This is one that was really struggling for me. You can see it's gotten some deformed leaves, so I'm just letting this one kind of do its thing. Here's a relatively normal leaf, I guess. It's the best looking one out of the group here, but I'm just kind of leaving it alone, see how it does. Here is a philodendron melanochrysum. This one I got as, oops, I'm dripping. I got this one for a pretty good deal. I put it on an aroid D-shaped moss pole type thing, plastic thing. It had a really long kind of leggy stem, so I did chop it up. You can see I made the cut right there. It's getting a new growth point. I do have probably about 5 or 6 leafless nodes or wet sticks in my perlite prop box right now, and it looks like they're all starting to get new growth points. So pretty soon I'll have a whole batch of melanochrysums. Here's just a little propagated Hoya Crimson Queen. Here's a Syngonium Wenlandii. Beautiful. Here is a Mandula pothos back here. I did take a cutting off of this one recently. It's in my perlite prop box, and I will be putting this on a plank as well. I don't know why I hang on to this sad looking Orbifolia. This is probably like 2 or 3 years old, and this thing just looks like garbage all the time. I don't know. I don't know what it is with this one. I can't let this one go. It's my only plant that I have in leca. I hate leca. I don't use it for anything else. Here are 2 Calathea mosaicas, and this is probably, if I was to recommend any Calathea, this is probably one of the most beautiful ones in my opinion, but it is super hardy. This thing, it's had thrips. I cut it right down to the soil line, so it had no leaves at all. So these are all new leaves within the last, I'd say, maybe 6 months or so. Same with this one here. I'll show you, push this out of the way. You can see these are the old leaves, so they just eventually just rot off. So these are all new leaves. Look at these cute little ones. So no thrips, everything's looking really good on these. So now I have 2 pots, and eventually they should fill out a bit more. But if I was to recommend any Calathea, this would be it. It's got beautiful leaves on it, and it is super hardy. I let this one get pretty dry, and it never gives me any crispy leaves, not like this piece of trash. I almost forgot, I was going to show you my perlite prop boxes. I have them down here on the floor. I have a little Anthurium regale in here. Here's just a couple epiprenums. This is the yellow flame. This is where'd it go? A propagated Anthurium quaramalense. Look at this cute little leaf. Here's the top cutting right here. So I'm trying to reroot those. The one stem was quite long. Yeah, just got a few other like alocasia corms and stuff in there. And then here is the mandula. It's getting some nice roots on there. So this will be going on a plank here pretty soon. And then over here, I have the, where'd they go? Maybe it was in this other box, the melanochrysums. Yeah, right here. Here they are. And they're all getting like new little growth points there. I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They're all getting growth. And then I have a couple hollies in this one. This is the Syngonium chiapens. Here is a fuzzy petiole cutting, green splash Syngonium. This is a philodendron snowdrift, I believe. It was a really small cutting and it came in soil and it rotted really fast. I'm just kind of rerooting this in perlite. And then here are some Anthurium little babies down there. I can't remember which ones they are. They're given to me by a plant friend. So that is my perlite prop boxes. I hope you enjoyed this second houseplant tour video. If you haven't checked out the first one, I'll leave it down in the description. Go check it out. It's all my basement plants, like I said. So I think that's going to be pretty much it for this video. If you have any comments or questions, please leave it down below in the comment section. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye.